Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Clara Galan, Content Marketing Manager and former teacher here at Remind, and I'm very excited to host our second Teacher Tip Tuesday. For those of you who are just tuning in, Teacher Tip Tuesday is a 5-minute professional development series in which we find teachers from all around the world to discuss innovative classroom practices and communication strategies and share their ideas with the Global Professional Learning Network. So today I'm very excited to be joined by Michael Buist, who is a 5th grade teacher at Knox Gifted Academy in Chandler, Arizona, and a member of the Remind Teacher Advisory Board. So hi Michael, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Glad you guys could have me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your classroom. So how long have you been teaching at Knox Gifted Academy?
Let's see, Knox has been open for 4 years as a gifted academy. This is the first year that we have a gifted-only population here. It's one of the oldest schools in the Chandler district, but last few years it's been repurposed to kind of meet the growing needs of our gifted population. But this is my, I think, 17th year in the district.
Wow, 17 years, that's a really long time.
I got a pen for my 15th year, and it still works.
Oh, wow, nice. Well, we'll have to send you a Remind t-shirt to go along with that pin. I know we've sent you another one.
Fantastic.
So what's one innovative practice or strategy that you've been implementing in your classroom lately with your 5th grade students?
Well, I'm wearing part of it right now. I figured I needed a prop for this. We wrote a grant recently that was sponsored by our Chandler Education Foundation, and they provide mini grants for teachers in the district and scholarships for students that are moving on to college. And what we did is we wrote a grant for approximately $750 to buy a new GoPro and a bunch of accessories to go along with it, specifically for a high-altitude balloon launch that we'll do in the spring. But now that we have it, we've been trying to figure out ways that we can use this. We're in the middle of science fair right now, and teachers who do science fair know how stressful that can be for both teachers and students. So one of the things that we did to try to reduce our stress and the stress of our students was to give them a topic to explore, and the topic was parachutes. So rather than kids kind of choosing topics from all kinds of science strands, we gave them one specific thing to think about. They got to choose their independent variable and what they were going to measure. But having us kind of do a project with them that's also about parachutes, and them working together in all these different teams, talking about parachutes, researching parachutes, testing in their classroom, we felt that it was a great way for us to organize our time with the kids. And then using the GoPro, whether it's on the helmet, and it doesn't fit the kids as well as it fits my big head, but we have a couple of other accessories, and we used them today where kids were trying to do some analysis about how the parachute flies based on something that they had changed, whether it's suspension cord length. So like here I've got a parachute that they built. They might have been experimenting with the load or the size of the canopy. And because things happen so fast, it was really hard for them to take some quantitative data. So we set up a couple of GoPros on a couple of the projects, imported them to the computer, and then used the slow motion feature to really kind of hone in on how the parachute was behaving, where did it land on a certain target. So having kids use this educational technology has been mind-blowing for them to kind of see how things work.
I love that hands-on experiment that you've been doing with your students. It really helps for authentic learning. Is there any place that they'll be presenting their findings? I know you talked a little bit about the science fair, but are there other opportunities for your students to present what they've learned?
Sure. Obviously, the science fair is the obvious one where they present. When they're done, we really want them to present to a larger community, and not just the community of their peers. we would love to invite some of the local businesses in here. We have a lot of people who work in engineering fields that their kids go here, so have them present that way. If kids do well at both the school and this district science fair, they move on to a state science fair, and at that state science fair, they have to defend their project. So there's an opportunity for some kids who do a fantastic job in terms of science, math, and writing to present to a larger audience.
And I really like that you're able to involve the rest of the community, as you mentioned, engineers. And if you'd ever want your students to present to our team here at Remind, Google Hangouts are a great way to use technology to do that.
Well, I think that would be a nice incentive, and if kind of put that in front of them that we've got a possible audience and you do an amazing job, and we'll put you in front of the camera.
Yeah, I know, that sounds great. I'm always happy to feature it on our blog. For those of you who are tuning in, it's blog.remind.com. So, Michael, I think that would be great. Maybe one of your students could write a post about that and what their findings were.
We do. We also have a blog that we do some writing on Kid Blog as well. We just kind of started it, so this would be a great place for us to feature their writing and pictures and videos and some things that they have discovered.
Great. So yeah, thanks again for sharing that. So I know you've been using Remind in your classroom frequently to connect with both parents and students. What's one way that you've been using it that's made an impact on your classroom?
I think that I'll share two if you don't mind. The first one is starting off a reminder with "Ask your child." Just those 3 words just really seem to help facilitate conversations at dinner, on the way home, on the way to practice, wherever it is. So instead of us trying to, within a limited number of characters, try to describe what the assignment is, ask your child about their science fair progress. Ask your child about this. And then it kind of puts a little bit of responsibility on the child to then have to explain it. The other part that I've been really trying to utilize with our 5th graders is the use of attaching pictures. The 3 of us in the 5th grade rooms here always have our phones out, and we're taking pictures or recording video or doing something to capture the moment. Oh, I lost lights. There we go. Trying to capture what's going on in the classroom, and so being able to attach a picture to something that's going on has been really helpful.
I think you bring up a great point too, because a lot of the times parents aren't able to go to the classroom to volunteer or be with their students. So I love that idea of sending home a prompt, asking children about specific content that they've learned in class. I think that really gets the dinner table conversation going and links parents to what you're doing in the classroom, and hopefully continues that learning on at home. And I think attaching pictures is another great use of that. So parents are able to see, get a window into what's going on in the classroom that they can just pick up quickly on their phone no matter where they are. Even if they're at work, they can see what those students are doing. Have you had a chance to use voice clips at all as well?
Yeah, we've used voice clips. It's been it seems to go in phases of different kind of tools within the app. For a while we were using voice clips to have students talk about things that they had done during the day. And thanks for bringing that to my attention, because it's been powerful. It actually was something that we used with a reporter from, I think, NPR, who joined our group, our 5th grade group, and a student just happened to be walking down the hall, and I said, oh, there's this new feature of voice notes. Here, let's check it out. And so I captured, a 10-second clip from the student and shared it with her, and so the reporter was able to hear it and see the kind of the power behind the student voice.
That's wonderful. No, I love how you're using student voice to integrate into that too, and be able to project a student's voice, to your entire Remind class. So it looks like we've gone over the 5 minutes, but I wanted to thank you, Michael, so much for joining us tonight. I know you're very busy in your classroom. How can those who are tuning in get in touch with you via Twitter?
So my Twitter handle is @BuistBunch, so @BUISTBUNCH. We're also pretty active on Instagram, almost the same handle, @Buist_bunch. So those are some places where we live in the digital world.
Awesome. So thank you to all of you who are tuning in this afternoon, and thank you again to Michael. If you have questions about this interview, you can always tweet at us. We're at RemindHQ, or on Facebook, so facebook.com/RemindHQ, and be sure to include the hashtag #TeachTues, so that's Teach, T-U-E-S. If you'd like to be interviewed or have your class featured, be sure to get in touch. I'm Clara Galan, and you can follow me on Twitter at Miss Clara Galan, signing off from the Remind headquarters in San Francisco. Have a good evening. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Bye.